Hi, Christy Cubs. This is Mr. Boatfield. So I thought I would sit down and read another one of my favorite stories. This one is called The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. So imagine a world where you never make mistakes. Most people might find that really good, but I think you'll find out in this story that it's not as perfect as it seems. Also, I want to talk about mistakes. So I talk about mistakes in the art room a lot because I actually appreciate them. So what I think in my teaching philosophy is that mistakes tell me, number one, that you're trying your best, which is great, and number two, that you're learning. If we never made mistakes, you're probably not learning. Mistakes show me that you're trying things out and that you're learning new things. I think that you actually learn more from mistakes than you do from getting it right the first time. So I think this story will tell you a lot about mistakes and how maybe they're okay. Maybe it's okay to make mistakes and that you can learn a lot from them. So let's dive in. The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes by Mark Peet and Gary Rubenstein. For Beatrice Bottomwell, Friday began like any other day. She matched her socks, and of course, she put her shoes on the proper feet. She remembered to feed her hamster Humbert his favorite food, broccoli. And when she made a sandwich for her brother Carl's lunch, she used exactly the same amount of peanut butter as jelly. When she stepped outside to greet her fans, she didn't forget to say, "Good morning," and "Thank you." They asked if she made her bed. She had. They asked if she forgot to do her math homework. Nope. What about tonight's talent show, they asked. I'm ready, said Beatrice with a smile. After all, her juggling act had won 3 years in a row. Most people in town didn't even know Beatrice's name. They just called her the girl who never makes mistakes, because for as long as anyone could remember, she never did. Unlike Beatrice, Carl made lots of mistakes. He ate his crayons and drew with his green beans. He danced with his hands and played the piano with his feet. Carl loved to make mistakes. At school, Beatrice was on a cooking team with her two best friends, Millie and Sarah. To make their giant rhubarb muffins, they needed 4 eggs. Beatrice went to the refrigerator and carefully chose the biggest, eggiest eggs that she could find. But on the way back, her legs slipped out from under her, and the eggs went flying. Beatrice was about to make her first mistake. All right, and pause. So we're gonna pause from the book just for a moment. So here's where I want you to make a prediction. So remember, a prediction is where you get to predict what happens next. So either talk to a friend or a family member, tell them what you think is going to happen, or write it down. What do you think the next thing is going to happen? Well, she didn't. That was close, thought Beatrice. Sorry, Beatrice, I dropped a piece of rhubarb. Don't mention it, Illy. For the rest of the school day, Beatrice could not stop thinking about her almost mistake. On her way home from school, Beatrice watched Millie and Sarah ice skating in the park. Come join us, said Millie. It's fun, said Sarah. Beatrice watched them slip and slide on the frozen pond. Millie and Sarah laughed as they wobbled on the ice. No thanks, said Beatrice. At supper, Beatrice barely touched her food. Is everything all right, kiddo? Asked her father. I'm worried I'll mess up tonight, said Beatrice, and everyone will be watching. Worry? You don't make mistakes, he said with a smile. Beatrice tried to smile too. After supper, Beatrice got ready for the talent show. First, she woke Humbert up from his nap. Next, she got a salt shaker from the kitchen table. Finally, she filled a balloon with water. The school auditorium was packed. Beatrice felt her stomach jumping around inside of her. Beatrice waited for her juggling music to begin. That's her! That's the girl who never makes mistakes, said a woman. Oh, we know she'll be perfect, said a man. When the music started, she tossed Humbert into the air. Next, she added the salt shaker. And finally, the water balloon. Patrice didn't miss a beat. The crowd clapped with delight. But Patrice noticed something odd about the salt shaker. The specks falling out were not white. Humbert was so surprised by his sneeze that he grabbed the water balloon with his claws. Humbert, pieces of water balloon, and the pepper rained down on top of Patrice. For the first time in as long as anyone could remember, Patrice made a mistake, and it was a big one. The music stopped. Patrice didn't know what to do. Cry? Run off the stage? The crowd sat stunned. They couldn't believe that the girl who never makes mistakes made a mistake. Patrice looked up at Humbert, and he looked back at her. His hamster fur was soaked and speckled with bits of balloon. Patrice let out a giggle. The giggle grew into a chuckle, and the chuckle became a laugh. The people in the crowd looked at each other and then back at Patrice. They began to giggle, then chuckle, and then finally roar with laughter. Patrice and the audience laughed until they couldn't remember why they were even laughing. That night, Patrice slept better than she ever had. In the morning, no fans greeted Patrice. When she got dressed, for no reason at all, she put a polka dot sock on one foot and a plaid sock on the other. Patrice and Carl made sandwiches. This time, they put the peanut butter and jelly on the outside. They called it an inside-out peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Lunch was messy and delicious. Later, Patrice found Millie and Sarah skating in the park. They fell a lot and laughed. Now, people no longer call her the girl who never makes mistakes. They just call her Patrice.